All righty then. We're back, and I'm hoping we're back on over at North. I apologize for us going away on you, and if you didn't hear the last couple of things that we shared, you will die. So, we are, at this point, we're still talking about safety. So what do we need for safety? What was it? A house, a place to stay, but more than just a place to stay. We need a place where we know that we're okay, we're welcome there. It's gonna be a stable place for us. We're not gonna get kicked out. And so we're in good shape by people. They want us there, and it's going to be okay. Safety needs. Anybody think of anything else? We talked about health. We need to have good health. What else? My wife and I go to a restaurant around here. Actually, it's in Port Arthur, I guess. But usually after church on Sundays, we'll run by there and we'll have it's a fish place, Hamilton's. It's a Hamilton seafood. It's a really good. They have really good seafood there. But there's a gentleman that's in there a lot of the time that we're in there. He's an older gentleman. He and his wife are in there, and he wears a pistol on his side. Has a weapon on his side all the time. In Texas, we have this open carry thing where you can open carry if you have license and all of those things. And so he's got a pretty good size weapon on his side. Why do you think he carries that? That's the other thing under safety we need is personal protection. I don't feel the need to carry a weapon. I've not had anybody want to do anything dastardly to me or anything, but we still need, whether or not we feel the need to carry a weapon with us, we still need to have personal security, right? That's part of that safety. I need to, even if I'm not carrying, I have an AR-15, but I don't carry it with me. But even if I'm not carrying it, I still need to feel personally safe. Yes.
Proper transportation.
I didn't hear that. So you got this thing on.
Proper transportation.
Yeah, proper transportation. That's safety, right?
Wearing your seatbelt while you drive.
Say it again.
Wearing your seatbelt while you drive.
Yeah. Be wearing your seatbelt, following the law, doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Self-defense, martial arts.
Yeah, self-defense. All of those things can be about self-protection. We need to feel that personal security is not about toting a bunch of guns. It's not about being Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not about being. It's just about my own idea that I am safe wherever I am. I need to feel safe if I'm going to a restaurant, right? I need to feel safe if I'm coming to work. I need to feel safe. So we need to have personal security. What else? We've got health, personal security, stable housing. What else? This is a big one that we folks like myself who are in recovery and addicted to all kind of crazy mess. We don't have a lot of. We need to have financial security. In the United States right now, and we may be in that group, most people in the United States cannot come up with $400 without selling something or borrowing it.
Stable job.
Yeah, that's where getting that stable job comes in. All that kind of stuff. But think about that. We can't come up with $400. Is $400 a lot of money? If you ain't got it, it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's a bunch of money, right? But that's the thing. If we've got, like you said, if we've got financial security, that doesn't mean that we're rich. That doesn't mean that we have everything. That doesn't mean we have $7 million in the bank, but it means that I have enough money coming in where I can pay all of my bills, and if I have a little left over, put a little something in the bank for when I don't have the money, right? That's being financially secure. That's where I need to be. So what has kept me from being financially secure in the past?
My addiction.
My addiction. Yeah. Because it just took all my money. Took all my money. Took everything. It also took a few of my jobs, right? And my addiction, if I'm going to go to work drunk, then usually I'm not going to be able to keep that job very long, right? So it has stolen that. So that's one of the things that I need to look at that connect with my spirituality is that all of these things, doing the things that I'm supposed to do, if I have a higher power that I'm connected to, because sometimes, how many folks know that sometimes when I get up in the morning and going to my job, whatever that job might be, is not the first thing on my mind. That's not the thing I really want to do that day. So what do? Sometimes I know you're not going to believe this. I know you're not. Sometimes I don't want to come out here.
I don't believe that.
I know. That's hard. That's hard to believe. I mean, man, this is like a vacation, man. It's fantastic and all of that. What do you do when you know you have to, but you don't want to?
Do it anyway.
You do it anyway. Where do you get the oomph to do that? Yeah. Coffee. Coffee will do it. Yeah. So, yeah, I think coffee is helpful. I don't know about you, but in my life, coffee plays a big role in all of that. But look, prayer plays a big role in that as well, right? While I'm making the coffee, I'm talking to my higher power. Lord, let me go. Let me be confident today. Let the technology work well. Can God have some influence over the technology? Absolutely. And how you feel about things and what all of those kinds of things. So if I really don't want to fulfill my obligations for today, I'm going to go to God and say, hey, I need some motivation. I need some help in this area. I need to feel better. I need to, whatever it is, I need to get more excited about what I'm doing. You're the one who set me up to do that. Now I need you to help me get motivated to want to do it. And so at the very least, let me get up and go to work. So this is part of, and he will do that. So it's good for us to know that we have a higher power, that when I don't want to do the things I have to do, he's there with me, and I don't go to work by myself. I go to work with the Holy Spirit with me all the time. So look, these two are basic needs. We have the physiological needs, the stuff that we have to have in our bodies to keep our bodies functioning. Because if we don't have these things, we don't have food, water, and air and stuff like that, we're not going to function long, right? If you don't believe it, don't feed your dog. And I'll guarantee you, after a while, he ain't going to be around, right? Not going to be there very long. And then safety is another basic need. It's a little bit different than not having food and all of that kind of stuff if we don't have a sense of safety. And what's the difference between being safe and having a sense of safety? What's the difference between being safe and having a sense of safetiness?
One is being comfortable and the one is being worried.
Yeah, one. If I'm safe, okay, I'm safe. If I don't ever leave my house, safe. I'm not going to leave my house. I'm going to stay here. Nobody's usually going to get at me. But a sense of safety makes me feel like I'm safe even if I'm not in my house. even if I go places where there are other people, where I may have issues with other people. So what can give me a sense of safety?
Not knowing.
Not knowing, just ignorant of the issues. Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, if I don't know that it's dangerous, I'm still going to feel safe about it, right? Yeah, you'll have that sense of safety if you don't know anything.
Your clothes.
Your clothes.
The shampoo, your cleanliness, and also
Not knowing people is what I was saying.
no, and just clothes, cleanliness, and faith.
Okay, yeah. If you have your hygiene at the right place and you're feeling good and you're wearing good clothes and all of that kind of stuff, usually you're not going to get in trouble with other people. Yeah, that's a good point. What do you have? Yes, sir.
Gun.
You're good.
Like
If
food.
if you got a gun, that's going to give you a sense of safety wherever you go. Is it true that you're safe because you're carrying a gun?
No.
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 Because I will guarantee you this: when we're in this is probably an 85-year-old man that's carrying that weapon, but every guy in there knows he has it. Every guy in there knows, because we're gonna. He's the one we're gonna watch. And nobody's watching me. I'm just an old man sitting there having some shrimp. And ain't nobody watching me, but everybody's watching him. So, yes. So we'll shoot him first because he's got a weapon. One of the things that should, it doesn't for all people, but one of the things that should give us a sense of safety is the police force. There's people out there that are paid to protect you, and they do that. Here's the deal. There was a big old thing about defunding the police and all of that stuff. They got pulled off from that a little bit because they realized if we defund the police and take the police out, you can't go anywhere. You'll have to stay at home. You can't go to the store. Somebody kill you, take your money. You can't go do that. You can't go do it because there's no one to tell somebody not to do that. Yeah.
The police force should also set up like something like it's just like a 1-page like something like this.
Yeah.
That they have to read and they have to memorize it within 2 days, and they have to say everything about it and stuff and everything. If not, they couldn't be on the police.
Okay, so you're saying the police ought to have a really good memory.
Yeah, they need to know their job.
Yeah.
They were defunding the police because
Well, give it
killing, putting people over for nothing and no reason, jumping over people.
That's why I didn't really want to mention that because we're going to go to all kind of crazy places. But it's absolutely true. There are countries that don't have police forces per se. You go down to South America, their police forces are complete, and you can't walk the street. The gangs run the country and all of that kind of stuff because there's just nothing you can do. Now, are there things that shouldn't happen? Of course there are. But for the most part, that's not true. But yes, sir.
I had one of my exes, cousin worked at the port at the city of Port Arthur. And so somebody told me to go down there for parks and maintenance. I go down there for parks and maintenance. They said they didn't have no job available. They said the only thing they had available was police officers.
Yeah.
So it was like, you want to fill out for that? I say, I'm a work pimp. She was like, that don't matter. I didn't fill it out. You know what I'm saying? She's like, that don't matter.
I think you would have made a fine police officer. I think you would have. It is time for us to take a quick break. Take a 15-minute break. We'll be back here 15 minutes after.
La señora tenía la color de
This is an opening up. Yeah, we won't think I all night. If you're ready, yeah, if you're ready, I'm ready. I got my sugar, four fifty. He told me that. But you feel like you're wasting time. The 450, I know 450 was. But it didn't go like we want to go in there. I just got back. Hey, you're rolling around headed out to smoke cigarettes. Yeah, I'm trying to Alaska right now. Yeah. There are some of y'all that get first years. I need some blood pressure. I'm gonna send right here. Thank you. That's what I had. Okay. I put an offer. I'm not every day the head start on you. Please read Mr. Hartfield is those things. I feel like I've been reading the amount of times that I go back there and sorry. You got the paper? So yeah.
I think so. It's great. Yeah. Why did Bob turn up those? I
might be out of bar, man. But you out of bar.
No. I don't know. Did you thought we had some.
That's all right. Y'all need it. I got money. I don't back.
Yeah.
Get somebody to go and get it.
Get somebody to get us some. She can buy. Try to get out.
Okay. Let me know.
Okay.
You got the fridge.
I was trying to get. Well, I think you need to drink water more than coffee.
Yeah.
Get y'all on that health kick.
Have you got water diet? Good for you. So will it look good up there, Dr. Garner?
What would look good?
A couple of your books.
A couple of my books would look great up there. I think somebody in him ought to buy 4 or 5 of them. I got a couple of them that I like. Got one called Old Jack One Eye.
Not so Jack one I got.
Old Jack One Eye and other short stories.
You plan on writing anymore?
Yeah.
You plan on writing anymore?
Yeah, I've got one in the cooker now. Working on it for a while. Called The Issue. It's about a girl who looks 29, but is actually about 500. And she eats people. Yeah. So I don't know if it's any good or not yet. I haven't finished it. I'm enjoying it. Those are unimportant books. I want to write an important book, maybe how to get sober and stay sober or something like that. One minute.
It's a very sad moment. I know. Hey. You have all the yellow ones you want,
All right, we're going to get started back. All right, welcome back. Group time. So we've gone through psychological, no we haven't. We've gone through physiological and safety needs, and those are basic needs. Now, why do we call them basic needs? Say it again. Necessary. These are necessary for life. You have to have these. This is the place that we start on the physiological and then the safety needs, because they are the basic needs that we have to have in our life, or we're just not going to live. I mean, these are the ones that we absolutely have to have. So now we're going to move up and talk a little bit about sociological needs. So, when we get to social needs, do we absolutely, social needs, the next one we're talking about, do we absolutely have to have social needs?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. They're not like basic needs. If we don't, if for some reason we don't socialize today, are we going to die? No. What if we don't socialize for a week? We're going to die. We're probably not going to die. Even if we don't socialize for a month, we probably not gonna die. But if we don't breathe for the day, we're gonna die. Yeah. Yeah, if we don't eat for the day, we're going to be hungry. We're not going to die, but after a while, we're going to die. But we do need to have a social life. So these are part of our our psychological needs. So what do we need? How come we need social? Um, what's our social need? Companionship. Yeah, we need to have somebody that is with us, that likes us, that knows what's going on about us. I just called my wife to ask her how the tree removal process is going, and she let me know the guy hadn't made it yet. Yeah. He's supposed to be there at 9:30. We know what goes on there. That's why we don't pay people before the job gets started, right? So she's got the money to pay him there, but we're not going to pay him till the tree's gone, and a memory. So this is also called, instead of just social, it's called love and belonging, right? Because in our lives, we need to have love and belonging. As you move through the city here, have you noticed that just about on every corner there's another church?
Yeah.
Why do you think there's so many churches in Beaumont?
No, people need to talk. People need relationships.
Because people, and he's exactly right. It's not because, what was that?
They got like the Lutheran church,
Yeah.
Methodist.
There's all different types of churches, and they're all over the place. And look, it's a sad state of affairs that it's not because everybody loves God that much, that they have to have a church on every corner. It's because we need this love and belonging, and we need to belong to something. If people don't want to belong to the local church, what else is out there they can join? Yeah, they can join the VFW. They can join the American Legion. What's the difference in the VFW and the American Legion? You don't know? American Legion is for soldiers who were not in a war zone. VFW is Veterans of Foreign War. American Legion is for all of those who went to the service but was never in a combat situation. So, but there's still just a place for us to go, and be part of that. There's all sorts of other things out there, that people can be a part of. And all of that, lots of that, is just because we need to be a part of something. As human beings, we are social. Say it again. Yeah, the Salvation Army. They're out there. You can go be a part of that if you want to be a part of that. All sorts of things. There's one of them that does a lot with eyeglasses and stuff. What is that? They help people get eyeglasses, and they do all of that stuff. And they're a really good organization, but I can't remember. What their name is. Also, there's AA, NA. There's lots of people that are sitting there in the AA, NA, and FA. What's FA? Fat Anonymous, yeah. CA, what's CA? Cocaine Anonymous. There's all sorts of those things out there. And there are a certain amount of people that are in those places just for what? Just for socializing. Just to be there. To talk to people. And we need to have that. So that's okay. You go right over here, where it is, right over there. And there's a great big old Calvary Baptist Church is over there. And when you go in there, they have a program just for people who have issues with alcohol and drugs. Celebrate Recovery is in there. And they have a program for people who are single. And then another program for people who are newly single. They have a program for people who are having grief issues. Why do they have all of those different groups? People need socializing. Yes, sir, you had something?
No, I was just saying, it's another symbol like that down in Lufkin. It's called, you might have heard of it, Church Without Borders.
Mhm.
It's like on a big old depot.
Yeah,
Ain't no wall. Church without walls. Somewhere.
yeah.
Anybody can walk up. They feed you every Sunday. Hot food, drinks, and fruits and stuff like that.
And that's fulfilling a lot of needs, isn't it?
They walk up hungry. Being there with God and with
Right. So he's
something like it's in the fall.
he's talking about a church that doesn't have any walls and people can just walk up. They get fed every Sunday. I think that's fantastic. So we're feeling a whole bunch of needs, a lot of those basic needs, and then we're fulfilling some of the psychological needs by giving them a social outlet, a place where they can go to socialize with other people. And look, that's one of the big things that we need to do when we get out of here. We need to make sure that we are socializing on some level. And one of the best places for us to socialize is what?
Church.
Church is a great place to go socialize. We're going to be doing that this Sunday. We're having a friends and family day this Sunday. We're going to have probably pizza or hot dogs or something to eat. It's going to be good. And, you know, people are going to be able to come in and socialize and get some of those basic needs fulfilled. They're going to have food and drink and stuff like that, which fulfills a basic need for that day. But it also fulfills the psychological need of having somebody to talk to.
Yeah, because they ask you, you know, you have any personal leaders or somebody
Right.
want to pray for you.
Right,
They
right.
got a name, they take the name down. Everybody say prayer for you. Stuff like that.
Right.
They let you engage.
Right.
Sad.
Yeah.
Not just speech. They say prayers and they
Sure.
sing music, good talk.
So he was saying they have a group of people that want to talk to you and get you involved in prayer and playing the guitar and stuff like that. And it's all a lot of socialization. And that's something that we need to be doing. So our church is working toward getting people more socially engaged and doing that. And as you do that, you can lead people to where you think they need to go. But we need to be socializing when we get out of treatment. We need to go somewhere and be a social animal. One of those places is church. I highly recommend that you go to church somewhere. I also recommend that you go to AA, NA, or one of those other places.
One of those A's.
One of those A's, yeah. You can go to Celebrate Recovery, whatever. We just need to be at a self-help group. And if we're not using the self-help group to help us stay in our recovery, at the very least, we can use that self-help group to help us through our socialization needs. Because we actually do need to be that social animal, right? So we need to do that. So love and belonging is something we need. This level involves the need for social connection, including friendship, intimacy, our family, and we seriously, as human beings, we need to have a sense of belonging. I need to belong to something. That's why there's so many of those places out there that are looking for members right now. So, you know, we need to belong to something. And this group here, we belong to this group. So that's part of our socialization needs being taken care of here in treatment because we belong to this group. Now, folks that are in the kitchen talking too loud, they don't belong to this group, you know, because they have set themselves outside of this group. But the folks at North, you belong to that group. So that helps us with our socialization needs. So love and belonging is important. It's one of our high psychological needs. What's the next one? On a psychological level, what does it say right here?
Esteem.
Esteem. What does that mean?
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Thinking highly of yourself. Does everybody think highly of themselves?
No.
Does everybody have self-esteem?
No.
Oh yeah. Some people have low self-esteem. Some people have high self-esteem. Some people's self-esteem is on a even keel. They don't think they're very good people, but they don't think they're very bad people. So there's three different places I can be with my self-esteem. Where do I want to be with my self-esteem?
In the middle.
Do I want to be in the middle?
Ah.
I want to look. This is why we talk about using positive self-talk to yourself. We need to be able to build our self-esteem. We need to always be looking at myself better. I need to have at least have higher self-esteem than I do. I need to be, without having a whole lot of pride, the egotism, and all of that kind of stuff, I need to be able to look at myself and say, okay, I'm okay.
Perseverance is good.
Say it again?
Perseverance.
Yeah, just stay at it and it'll work. If you continue to tell yourself the right thing, you'll get to the right place. Right? If you continue to tell yourself the right thing, most of the time, we tell ourselves the wrong thing. Why is that? Well, a lot of the time, we're going to focus on what we've done. A lot of the time, we're going to focus on the bad things that have happened in our life, whether they're our fault or not, right? A lot of the times, it's a whole lot easier for me to focus on the fact that I was arrested all of those times. It's easier for me to focus on the fact that I lived under other people's houses. It's easier for me to focus on those bad things. Why? Because they are trauma-inducing, right? And what does trauma do? There's a spot in your brain where trauma goes, and it stays there. Whatever traumatic event happened to you, you will never forget it. You ain't forget it. Because it is locked in your brain right there. Does that mean you're never going to get over it?
No.
No, that just means you're never going to forget it. You can't get past it. You can't get over it. What else is locked in that spot in your brain? Addiction. Your addiction is, it's in there. What else? All sorts of things. This is why we need to be cautious about what comes into our eyes, because it gets into there, and all of this trauma can happen. Pornography gets stuck right there in that same spot. Yeah. So here's the deal. Whatever that pornography that you saw way back in the day, it's still there, and you can bring that back up in your memory. You can't get rid of that. So
when you watch too much of it, watch a lot of it, you get by some folks.
You think? Well,
I know.
Well, that's a sad thing.
Yeah.
That's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. I remember you and I having that conversation a long time ago, and that's a sad thing, right? So anyway, that's traumatic, and it gets into that same place where the trauma is, and you can't get rid of it. It's going to stay there. So love and belonging. This level involves the need for connection, friendships, intimacy, family, and a deep sense of belonging. You have to belong to something. We have a need to belong to something. So once we get our self-esteem at a place where it needs to be, and how am I going to build my self-esteem?
Positive affirmation.
Positive affirmation. Usually at the end of every group, I'm going to give the group some positive affirmation, because usually you do pretty well in the group, right? Most of us, there's some of us don't do very well in the group, but most of us do very well. So you get positive affirmation. Who is the one person that you can guarantee is going to give you positive affirmation? Yourself.
That's
So
right.
say it again.
That's right.
Yeah. And so we need to be giving ourselves positive affirmation. We need to be using positive self-talk about ourselves, right? So because if I continue to give myself negative self-talk, I'm going to go in the other direction, and my self-esteem is going to suffer. And I don't want to have my self-esteem suffer. I also don't want it to stay on that level thing, because it's not okay. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm not so bad, but I'm not so good either. That's not a great place to be. So I want that stuff to go up a little bit. So I'm thinking highly of myself. If I can get to the place where I think pretty highly of myself without being prideful, without having all that ego messed up in it, then other people are going to start thinking highly of you as well. The way that you think about yourself, guess what? That's how you present yourself to the world. If you think that you're lower than a snake's belly and a wagon rut piece of slime, that's how you're going to present yourself to the world.
You are your thoughts.
Yeah, you are your thoughts.
What if you think you're so high that everybody?
Well,
yeah.
if you were thinking highly of yourself, if you're thinking highly of yourself, then you're going to do the things that cause you to be what you're thinking, and cause you to say what, cause you to act the way that you say you are. If you say you're a good husband, if you say you're a good wife, if you say you're a good mother, if you say you're a good dad, then as you say those things, you actually convince yourself to be those things. And when it comes time for you to act on them, you're going to act on them in the proper way. Yeah, I'm a good dad. That's something you want to be, right? Yeah, I want to be a good dad. So if I want to be a good dad, I'm not going to walk around saying, boy, I want to be a good dad. Man, I wish I was a good dad. What am I going to do? Positive self-talk says, I'm a good dad. I'm a good dad. If I'm a good dad, guess what I have to do? Yeah. If I'm a good dad, then I can't be off in here every 5 months. If I'm a good dad, I can't keep using those drugs that keep me from being with my kids. If I'm a good dad, then I'm going to have to spend some time with Junior, right? If I'm a good dad, I'm going to have to be available.
Do some good deeds.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Now, if I'm a good husband, same thing. If I'm a good wife, same thing. If I'm a good mother, same thing. I've got to be available. If I'm telling myself I am that, then myself is going to start working toward beating that. If not, you know, when I tell myself I'm not a good dad, what does that do? Yeah, you know what it does is give me a good excuse. Okay, I know I didn't. I know I told y'all the other day I forgot my granddaughter's birthday. That made me feel real bad. You know, it made me feel real, because I'm walking around saying I'm a good grandfather. How can a good grandfather forget his granddaughter's birthday? I did it, yeah, I did it. But you know, when I'm telling myself I'm not a good dad, you know, I'm getting all down on myself. I'm getting into a victim stance, and I'm giving myself an excuse for bad behavior. And we're all looking for a good excuse for bad behavior. We do that all the time. Yeah, you know, this is what I want to do. So, you know, why should I be able to do it? Because of this. So I'm looking for a good excuse for bad behavior. So if I'm telling myself that I'm a bad dad, or I'm telling myself I'm a bad mother, or a bad whatever, you know, that gives me an excuse to do the bad thing. Well, I'm a bad dad anyway. We used to have a film that we showed, a video that we showed that was called Bad Dad. And it's a pretty good thing. If I don't know what I did with that thing, but if I can find it one of these days, I'll show it. It's you know, most of the time when we show that, guys respond to that pretty good. So we need to be able to work on our self-esteem, why is it important for us to have high self-esteem?
Like knowing you don't do your job to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Knowing you're going to do your job to the best of your ability and all of that stuff. My self-esteem, this is an important point. My self-esteem not only affects me, who else does it affect? All the people around me. Everybody around me. My self-esteem affects my wife, my husband, my children, my grandchildren, my boss, society, right? If I feel good about myself, then I'm going to feel good enough to do the things I'm supposed to be doing, and that's going to affect the people around me, right? Somebody out there? If people out there, and all that kind of people on the road, all that stuff. So, anyway, esteem individuals. Then, after we have all the love and belonging and all of that kind of stuff lined out, all of that, we can start to feel a little bit better about ourselves. We begin to seek esteem. That means both from ourselves. We need to be looking at our self-esteem. That's what self-esteem means. You get the point there. It's self-esteem. So what does self-esteem mean?
Self-motivation.
Self-motivation. How I feel about myself. How I feel about me. How I feel about how I'm walking through life. How I feel about how I'm doing in my recovery. How I feel about how I'm doing as a husband, as a wife, as whatever. How I'm doing. How I feel about it. Because remember, the name is self-esteem. How I feel about myself. Right? Okay. And then the second part of that is, and from others. So when others are esteeming me, how do they do that? Compliments. Yeah, when people come up and say, man, you smell good. Is that them esteeming you? Yeah, you don't stink. You smell pretty. How about recognition? When you do a good job, is it important for somebody to recognize them? We did a study back when I was in the prison system, and they actually came out with the findings that more people stay at a job for recognition than for money. If you pat somebody on the back, it's more important than patting their paycheck. And I've had just about every guy I've ever told that to that that ain't true. I want the money. And look, we do want the money, right? Well, we need to have that remuneration. We need to have some money coming from all of the stuff that we're doing. But it's more important for us to know that we are appreciated. That reminds me the other day, policeman was after me. All the red lights and all of that stuff. I outran him for a while, but then I decided to pull over, and he came up there and said, man, you don't have to try to run me down, and all those silly lights you got on there. But that one, we need to pray for that one. That was an ambulance going by. So look, here's the deal. We've got recognition is important. How many folks know you want to have some affirmation? I do. I'd love somebody to. I like my boss to come and say, "Hey, you did a really good job." I really appreciate that. That feels good. I like that. It helps my own self-esteem go up when she tells me I've done a good job. Right? So that's a good thing. I like people doing it. Now here's the deal. I'm not addicted to affirmation. I don't have to you don't have to. I know I'm doing a good job. I know what my job is. I do my job, right? I'm going to go, when we finish here, I got to do some notes and stuff, and and do some other stuff this afternoon, and I know what I'm doing and all of that kind of stuff, and I feel good about that just because I know how to do that. I don't absolutely need to have my boss come and tell me, hey, you're doing a good job, right? Because I know it. So my self-esteem is at that place where I know that, but that doesn't mean I don't like some recognition for what I'm doing, right? Okay. So then your status, what does status mean? Getting promoted, getting to that place, moving to a different level.
Kind of the person you are.
Yeah, the kind of person you are. They see the kind of person you are, and they move you to a different level. That's, you get to that place where people know who you are. Y'all know what the term good hand means? Yeah. Yeah, good worker. Most guys know what a good hand is. If you're a good worker, if you do a really good job for the company that you work for, you become known as a good hand. And if you are known as a good hand, how hard is it for you to get a job? Yeah, it's not hard at all. If you're a good hand, and your company knows that. They know that as a good hand, you can step out and be gone just a minute, right?
Yeah, they use that term a lot, like on the farm, they're a good field worker.
Well,
Good
yeah,
farm worker,
yeah.
good hand.
And that's where that started way
That's what started, good field.
way back in when we were out there picking the cotton and all of that kind of stuff. Those guys would say, that person is a good hand. Got a good hand for picking cotton. Got a good hand for doing. Well, that has morphed into what it is today, and now any kind of job can be you can be a good hand at, right? And people know that, and you're going to be able to get to, those jobs and all of that stuff. And the other thing, the last thing, coming from other people is respect, right? How do you gain respect? Being a good worker, being a good man, being a good woman, giving respect, right? If you respect people, usually you get respect in turn.
Person could dislike you, you respect them because of the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, sure. The way you carry yourself, the way you stand up for your rights, the way you do the things you're supposed to do. In the prison system, immediate respect's a big thing. Respect is a big thing. And immediately, you give respect to get respect, and that's just the way it is.
Gain status.
Say it again?
You gain status.
You gain status.
Big dog.
Yeah, big dog. Yeah, that's the way that happens. So that's the esteem part of this deal. Says, look, also you're going to have some confidence. That helps us have good, high self-respect and high self-esteem, right? If I'm confident, how do you gain confidence? How do you get confident in something? Say it again.
Keep it real, telling the truth, be honest.
Yeah, just, being real, telling the truth. It's really a whole lot easier to tell the truth and back that up than it is to tell a lie and back that up, because one lie leads to another one. So being truthful, that's a good thing. When you build confidence, how was that?
Being knowledgeable,
Being knowledgeable. Yeah, understanding your job, understanding what you're supposed to be and do and all of that stuff. How do you get that? How do you gain all that knowledge? What's that? Practice. I'm going to be confident. Look, right now, y'all know I'm doing a thing online with Allison to try to learn the computer a little bit better. I'm nowhere near where I want to be on that, but I'm getting more and more confident. There's a whole lot they call it a ribbon, but that thing up there, they got all of this stuff up there. I have never known about half of, I haven't ever known probably 90% of what that junk up there is. I still don't know how to work on all of it, but I'm getting to the place where I know that you can work it. And I'm trying to pull it down and do some stuff and all of that. And hopefully I'm going to get to the place before too many longers where I can work with that pretty well. But like the gentleman said, you have to practice it to get good at it. So that's why we need to practice positive self-talk. We need to, if I'm going to get good at saying the right things about myself so that I can build my self-esteem, then I'm going to have to practice doing it. I have to actually do it. And then at some point, I'm going to be really good at it. All right, so this last one up here, we got all of these things. We have the physiological things, so I'm not going to die. I have the safety, so nobody else is going to kill me right now. I have the social. I've got some friends, family, co-workers, all of those kinds of stuff that's around me that's helping me to be the person that I want to be, right? And the person, one of the big things is I want to be in recovery. That's part of my my self-talk, my own personal positive self-talk. I'm in recovery, and I'm staying in recovery, and I enjoy recovery. Being sober is fun. It is magnificent. It's wonderful. And I ask this question all the time, so let me do it again. We got time. What did I do last night?
Nobody knows.
What's that?
Only you know.
Only I know. But that's the point. I know. I know what I did last night. There was a time in my life I did not know what I did last night. So I'm in recovery and I'm happy. Say it again.
You know what you did last summer?
I do know what I did last summer. I went to Martin Dye State Park with a bunch of kids from the church and fought mosquitoes. We got mosquitoes up there at too. But it was fun. We had a good time. So the last part of this is fulfillment. So I'm at that place now where I am fulfilling what? When I get to a place of fulfillment, what does that mean? What am I fulfilling? My life goals, my life plans, the things that I want to have happening in my life. I am at a place of fulfillment. I feel good about who? Myself. I feel good about myself. I'm going to tell you something. I have not always felt good about myself. I have at one point I was feeling really, really bad about myself. I had someone suggest, you need to just go ahead and take yourself out. And I told them, I would, but I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to waste the bullet. I felt real, but now I'm not like that. Now I feel pretty much fulfilled. I've got my wife, I've got some children, some grandchildren, some great-grandchildren, all of that stuff, I am pretty much fulfilled, for all of those things. So what does it mean? What does self-actualization mean? That's a really good word, isn't it? That sounds like some kind of weird disease. I got an actualization, but I did it to myself. That's why it's self-actualization.
When you realize your potential.
That's a good thing. That's a good way to put it. When you realize your full potential. And you're acting on it. So you got to that place where you've gotten it done. Right? Is it necessary for us to get to self-actualization?
Yes.
It is. This is part of our hierarchy of needs. This is something I need. I need in my life a way to get to the place where I feel like I need to be. Right? Say that again?
Self-recognition.
Self-recognition. I need to recognize what I'm doing. Meeting, look. Here's what the Dr. Maslow said. Meeting your full potential. Self-actualization means meeting a full potential. I'm not sliding myself. I'm not leaving anything on the table. I am completely completed. And that's a good place to be. Do you think we ever actually get to total self-actualization? I'm sure that there are folks who do. But I would say that most of us never do. Most of us never ever meet our full potential because look, we are brilliant. The Bible says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're something special. You may not believe that, but let me tell you, your mama might not even believe that. But let me tell you something. You are actually something special. And so, usually, being that, we never quite make it to our total potential. Once we get to this place, usually what happens is we get to a place where we're satisfied. Could it do more? Could it be more?
Yeah.
Could it get a little bit higher? Yeah, probably so. Probably could, but I'm satisfied right here. I have met a lot of my potential. So if you've met 80% of your potential, does that feel good? Feels great. Yes, sir.
Become complacent.
It ain't nothing that can't be upgraded. I think. For example, you could buy a brand new Ford F-150 off the lot and take it down to the sports shop and make it go faster.
Yeah. Oh, you can. Yeah.
It's a bigger mirrors, performance,
Right.
oil kits.
He was talking about potential. You can buy a brand new truck, take it down, have them do something to it, make it have more, make it go faster, and do all those things, get more potential out of it. My wife just bought one of those 2025 F-150s, and she's having the mirrors changed. I told y'all about that. She's gonna put those mirrors so we can drag the trailer more effectively and more efficiently. And she don't ever drive it, and I didn't have a problem. But that's going to cost about $2,000 to do all that stuff. But that is going to bring up some potential on that truck. But if we get to 80%, 90% of our potential, that's going to be something great because usually we don't get to 50, 60% of our potential. So wherever we are today, we probably are not where we can be. So should I try to get a little bit more of it?
Because they're going to raise your IQ.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Your IQ score can go up. Absolutely. So IQ is one of the things that can go up. If you have an IQ of 90, if you go and you study and you work and you try, then you can build that up. And so we can get to a better place in our job. I don't ever take a job that I'm not considering where I can go in that job. Someday, I'll be all right if Mr. Farmer wants to retire and give me his job. There's other potential for me. I can go up the line. So so self-actualization. Self-actualization. Meeting my full potential. One of the other things that self-actualization does for me is help me to accept others. That's something we don't look at a lot, but look, I'm meeting my own potential, but I want you to meet your potential as well. I don't want to meet my potential by holding you down. I want to. One of the things that I really have always enjoyed doing is empowering other people. I like to see other people be empowered. I like to see other people meet their potential. That's part of self-actualization. When I can get to the place in my life where I can help you get to your apex, get to your highest level of potentiality, then I'm really at a good place in my life. Yes. When I'm helping you, it's raising my self-esteem. And that's part of self-actualization. When I can actually get to the place where I'm so comfortable where I am that I can help you to move to where you need to be. So that's part of it. One other little part here, I want to meet my full potential. I want to accept other people where they are and help them to make their full potential. And I want to appreciate life. You remember when I was back in the midst of my addiction, I wasn't appreciating life all that much. Every day was a chore. Every day was miserable. Every day I was afraid. Every day I was scared because I was afraid I would not be able to get my drug. I was also afraid that I would be able to get my drug. I was afraid I wouldn't have enough money. I wouldn't have something to sell, something to hawk. The pawn guy. When you go in and he knows you by your first name, that ain't a good thing. And when you go in and he got 3 tickets that you've already got out, and okay, what you gonna give me for this lawnmower? He said, that's the 3rd lawnmower you done brought. How many lawnmowers you have? I had a guy come one time. I was at a facility, and this guy came up and he wanted to go to work for us as a yard guy or something. And the director came to me and said, "Hey, Doc, I can't deal with this guy." Said, "We don't want him to work here." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, you just say we don't want him to work here, but I don't feel like you go talk to him." So okay, he's the director. So I went to talk to him, and he was just totally inappropriate for our facility. So I told him, dude, you can't work here, man. Not, you just can't. He said, okay, but look, do you want? Look, I got a chainsaw. You want to buy a chainsaw? I said, I really don't want to buy it. He said, oh, come on, let me show you this chainsaw. I said, okay. So he went out and I actually happened to need a chainsaw, but he went out, opened the trunk of his car up, had like 6 chainsaws. And they had numbers on the chainsaw. They were yellow and they had numbers. He said, look, you can have one of them, all of them, $25 a piece. I'm going, I don't want your chainsaw. He said, let me show you how. I said, no, don't start the chainsaw. I don't want to have anything like that. So he had in his addiction, he was having a miserable day, right? And I remembered those days. I had a miserable day just like that. I was at the pawn shop with my 3rd lawnmower, Well, where did you get that lawnmower? Have you ever told anybody, look, I found that? That's what he told me that day. I said, where'd you get all these lawnmowers? Oh, I found them. You found 6 chainsaws with numbers on them.
The same spot.
He probably found them out the back of a county truck, or something like that. But, and it's easy to find lawnmowers if you look off of people's, there's lawnmowers laying around everywhere. But at this point in time, look, I don't do that anymore. I did go to a pawn shop about 6 or 8, probably a couple of years ago, and bought me a impact wrench. Yeah, but it's not. It wasn't as good as I thought it was. But I did buy one. I wasn't trying to get rid of something. I was trying to get some. But I appreciate my life today. I appreciate being able to be here. I appreciate the fact that I'm going to be able to go home and have a nice place there. And I appreciate that I have a lunch today. It's nasty, but it's a lunch. I appreciate that. And I just appreciate life. Every day I get up and life is good. I remember every day I got up and life was not good. We got 30 seconds. So questions, comments, or Snyder? I want to give you guys, this group here at South, I want to give you guys some positive affirmations today. You did a great job. I appreciate it. Lots of people were asking questions. Everybody stayed awake. And I do appreciate you guys today. Thank you, and we will see you tomorrow. I will be at North